everyone, it's nice to be here with you again. Today we will start with Unit 7, Interactive Games. So let's talk about at first media. What is media? Media are different ways that we communicate. So, how many types of media do you know? Do you have an idea? Yeah, as you see, we have here, there are 3 types of media. Traditional media, digital media, and interactive games. So, as an example for traditional media, we can say billboards, radio, newspaper, TV, and direct mail. For digital media, as you always use Instagram, YouTube, Google, and Facebook, WhatsApp, such as, and interactive games. Okay, can you give me an example of interactive games that you like most? As an interactive games, we can say Call of Duty, and Legends of Delta. This kind of games we can call interactive games. So, yes. And as you see here, media-related activities that we do all the time. These are common activities. And there are also many other activities. Let's look at these common ones at first, like reading books or watching movies, reading online blogs, listening music, using online social media, playing interactive games. Okay, now I want you to open your book, page 63, Build Your Vocabulary Part A. In this part, as you see, we have one bold-faced word in each part, 1, 2, 3, and 3 definitions. You have to match them with their meanings, with their definitions. Okay, let's start one by one doing. How can we do that? First, one goal of game designers is to create games that are engaging. When players are interested in the game, they want to keep playing. So, in order to understand this bold-faced, the meaning of this bold-faced word, you have to read it carefully, the sentence. You can find a clue that will help you to find the best suitable definition. As you see in the first sentence, in this first part, there is an interested in the game. So you can easily understand this. Engaging is a B. Interesting. Look at the second one. I failed a test yesterday, and now I'm feeling depressed. I need to do something to lift my spirits. So depressed. As you see, it said that I failed the test. When you fail the test, an exam, how do you feel? Of course, you have to feel like it's normal to feel sad. Yes, it should be A. And the last one is the potential effects of gaming. C. Let's move on. 4. 3D Monster Maze was one of the first 3-dimensional computer games. And the designer of the game wanted players to feel like they are inside of a maze trying to find their way out. As you see in the second sentence, they give you that they are inside of a maze, not out. And they try to find it. So how can we say that these 3-dimensional computer games, what are these? Yes, you can find it here, like having and seeming to have lengths, widths, and depths. And the 5, Call of Duty is a violent war game. The goal of the game is to shoot and kill enemy soldiers. And what's the clue of this bold-faced word? Again, in the second sentence of this part, you can see that kill enemy soldiers. That's a clue for you to understand. Yes, exactly the F, using force to hurt or kill someone. And the last one is D, like fantasy games, something produced by the imagination. Next part, 7. I love to play League of Legends. Sometimes I get so involved in playing, I completely forget about the time. So, what do you understand from involved in playing? What do you think? Connect to thinking, stop or slow something, or actually participating in something? Yes, it should be I, in something. There is a clue as in, you are in something. And 8. Sometimes my game playing interferes with my schoolwork. Interferes. What do you think about it? Instead of doing the homework, they play games. It means that they are stopping doing something or slowing something. And the last one is G. Cognitive abilities connected to thinking. Okay, I have a question for you guys. What do you think? Are abbreviations and acronyms useful for note taking? Do you have an idea? Yes? Yeah, you were right. They are really useful. Why useful? Because they help us to save our time while we are listening or in the exam. So acronyms and abbreviations for frequently used words, are they helpful for listening when the speed is essential? So it's important to be consistent. And as you know that acronyms, all of these have their own meanings. As you see here, we have abbreviations. These are the common abbreviations that are used mostly. And some of them maybe you can see in reading books or instructions in our books as ACT, etc. or EG, for example. Info, information. Now look at this, NO means number, paragraph. So you can find this kind of abbreviations on the internet, and also you can develop your own set so that you don't have to write every word in full. And you can shorten any word that is commonly used in your lectures, such as go, government, necessary. So please work out a system you will remember and use it consistently. And I will recommend you to keep a list of frequently used abbreviations or acronyms that will help you in the future to refer them. So let's look at these acronyms that are also. What is the acronym at first? Some abbreviations are so well known and widely used that they have become acronyms. For example, NASA. We pronounce it as a word, NASA. Actually, when you say that, it's a full name is National Aeronautics and Space Administration. How about ABC? Australian Broadcasting Corporation. We call them acronyms. By taking all initial letters of each word, it becomes acronym. Okay, now open your books, page 66, focus your attention part. In this part, you can find some phrases that speakers often provide research or evidence to support their ideas. Okay, what's the evidence? Evidence is information that shows your ideas are true. Okay, one type of evidence is studies or surveys done by researchers to find out new information. Okay, as you see, there is a phrases, and you can also find these phrases in your books. To talk about one study, we mostly use these phrases. One study or survey looked at. The researchers studied. The study or survey found that. According to this study or survey. And to summarize several studies, we use research shows or studies shows, or it is estimated that, researchers believe. These are the most common used phrases to introduce evidence. So now we're gonna do most important listening part. And in this part, you have to pay attention to these phrases and make sure that you are giving all these answers, these outline sheets. Let's read one by one these statements. First, it says you have to write the definition of media. And the second, traditional media. You have to give an example for traditional media. And the next one, cognitive benefits of playing interactive games. As you see, it talks about benefits, so make sure that they might be also negative sides of this playing interactive games. And special ability, again you have to write the definition of special ability. If you miss this part, or if you miss the definition of special ability, don't worry, just listen to evidences that the speaker is gonna state or examples, and it will help you to write your own definition about special ability. So next one is hours that the participants played an action game. So how many hours that they played? And again, motivation. In this part you also have to write the definition of motivation. And the place where aspects of interactive games utilized. And the last one, you have to write 2 negative effects of electronic games. And I will show you the questions, and I will show you the questions for each statement. You have to answer for them. Okay, now you have to get a paper to take notes, and you will gonna listen only once. So listen carefully and get your answers for each statement. Are you ready? Let's start.
Unit 7, page 66. Watch the lecture. Part B. Listen for main ideas.
In this class, we've already studied a variety of media. And remember, by media, we mean different ways that we communicate, including traditional media such as newspapers, television, and movies, as well as new media such as online newspapers and blogs and social media. Today, we're going to talk about one genre of new media: interactive games. This includes games you play on a game console, computer, or smartphone. Alright then, it'll come as no surprise that video games have been one of the fastest growing types of new media. And as these games have gotten more popular, we have started to see more research on the effects of playing these interactive games. Today we'll look at some of this research on these digital games and talk about some of the effects, positive and negative, of playing them. So, what are some of the potential benefits of playing interactive games? The first benefit is a cognitive benefit, improvements in how our brains work. One of these benefits is improved spatial ability. Spatial ability is the ability to understand the relationship between objects in space, like when you look at a map on your phone to find your way in an unfamiliar city, or when you see relationships in a geometry problem. Spatial ability is especially important in math and engineering. One study of spatial ability looked at people who play action games, games like The Legend of Zelda or Batman or Grand Theft Auto. In these action games, the player moves through a 3-dimensional world. Researchers took a group of people who had no experience playing these types of action games and gave them a test that measured their spatial ability. Then, the participants played an action game for 50 hours and took the spatial ability test again. The study found that players did much better on the spatial ability test after playing the game. So this shows that playing action games can actually improve your spatial ability skills. Another cognitive benefit of video games is in motivation. In psychology, motivation is the desire to work towards a goal, even when you fail along the way. Motivation is the drive or energy inside us that makes us try again and again until we reach the goal. It's interesting. With engaging games, failure in the game does not usually lead to feelings of anger or frustration or the desire to just quit. Instead, players feel excitement and want to try again and again. In other words, they feel motivation to continue. This aspect of interactive games can be utilized in education. Teachers can employ game psychology to keep students working on difficult learning tasks. Now, these are only 2 of the possible benefits, but I also want to mention potential problems. There are 2 main concerns about the effects of electronic games. One negative effect is game addiction. Gaming is an enjoyable pastime for many people, but gaming becomes an addiction when it starts to interfere with a person's relationships, or when it interferes with their ability to accomplish other goals, like getting good grades or being successful at work. There are several signs that a person may have a game addiction. One sign is playing video games instead of spending time with family and friends. The person becomes so involved in the fantasy world of the video game that he or she doesn't want to spend time with real people. Another sign is the person feels angry or anxious or depressed when they are not able to play. It's estimated that about 10% of gamers have a true addiction, so it is a serious problem. Another area of concern is the effect of fantasy games on the player. In particular, what is the effect of playing violent fantasy games? Does playing a violent game make someone want to hurt another person in real life? Well, the answer to that is not clear. However, studies show that playing violent video games can cause people to be less sensitive to violence and become more aggressive in their real life. For example, a study of 13 and 14-year-olds found that those who played violent games were more likely to argue with their teachers and to get into fights with their classmates. But there really isn't enough proof or evidence to say for sure that video games directly cause this aggressive behavior. These studies only show a connection between violent games and aggressive behavior. In other words, aggressive kids may choose to play violent games. It's not clear if the games make them aggressive or if they like the games because they already are aggressive. Well, there's something for us all to think about. The potential benefits and drawbacks of the increased use of interactive games in our society.
Okay, I hope you get your answers. Now look at these questions. You have to answer it. I will give you a short time for it, and you can just stop the video and you can give your answers. So after that, I will show you all of this answer of each question. There is 8 questions. Okay, let's look at the answers for that questions. First one should be like that. What are media? Media are different ways that we communicate. And the second one, what are the examples of traditional media? You can write newspaper, television, and movies. The next one, write one cognitive benefit of playing interactive games. You can write only special ability or motivation. Next one is, what is special ability? It is the ability to understand the relationship between objects in space. And how many hours did participants play an action game? Yes, 50 hours, not 15, 50, okay? Be careful. What is motivation? It's a desire to work towards a goal. Where can the aspects of interactive games be utilized? In education. And what are the 2 negative effects of electronic games? Game addiction and become more aggressive. Your answer should be like that. Okay, let's open your books. Page 66. Check your understanding. You have to use your notes to do these activities. According to the lecture, you have to choose 2 potential benefits and 2 potential problems. As you see in this part, there is effects of gaming. We have effects of gaming here, 6, but you have to choose only 4, like 2 benefits, 2 problems. Okay, what do you think? According to the lecture, 2 benefits. Your answer should be like that, yes. Motivation and special ability. How about the problems? Like negative effects. Yes, C and F. Problem solving, game addiction, and aggressive behavior. Okay, now in this part you have to write true or false for each sentence according to the lecture, and again use your notes to decide if the statements are true or false. Okay, first one, it says special ability is the ability to understand the relationship between objects in space. What do you think? Is it a true or false? Yes, it's a true. Second, one study found that playing three-dimensional puzzle games improved participants' spatial ability. What do you think? Three-dimensional puzzle games improved participants? Is it true or not? Yeah, it's false. Why it's false? You have to correct them. The answer should be like that, not puzzle games, action games. And the three, failing in games causes players to feel frustration and want to quit. Yes. Your answer should be false. Why false? Which part of this false? It should be feel excitement, not frustration, and want to try again and again. 4. Gaming becomes an addiction when game playing interferes with a person's relationships and personal goals. Yes, what do you think? Is it true or false? Yes, it should be true. And the 5, a sign of game addiction is when players prefer the fantasy world of games to spending time with real people. What do you think? Exactly, it's true. And the last one study found that 13 and 14 years old who play violent games are more likely to argue with their parents and get into fights. Yes. What do you think about this one? Did you get this ideas about this? Fighting with their parents or arguing with their parents? No. It should be false. And what's the correct answer? No parents, but should be teacher. They are arguing with their teachers and they get into fights. Okay guys, it was the last activity for today. I hope you will enjoy and stay home and be safe. See you in the next lesson.